Sorry about that. That was dumb. One of my programs crashed that lets me know when somebody's talking in chat because I'm not always looking at chat. So sorry about that. And I needed to get that sorted. Thought I just heard my own voice for a second, but doesn't look like it. Okay. So today we're going to do a tissue paper project. Well, we're going to start a tissue paper project. We won't finish it today. So I've done a couple of these in the past. It's been a hot minute since we've done one on stream. The last one I did was the big stream that I did the very long speed paint on that was like a 7-hour speed paint. That was the sped up version because it literally took me almost 7 months to finish. So that was the big 36 by 48 canvas that I did with the flamingos and the sunset. This one should not take nearly that much amount of time because we are working on a much smaller piece. This is going to be an 8 by 10 because I have some of those extra sitting about, so we're going to do that. We're going to use the same reference photo that we just did the needle felting with because I wanted to do a tissue paper version of that just because I was curious as to what I could do with that. And we're gonna see how that goes. So I probably do a little extra on these than I maybe necessarily need to. Um, I do a base paint when I am doing these. So let's see. So there's that. Asking the husband something, and he's not even in here. Alright, so maybe do that. So I do an underpainting on these. Certainly don't have to, but that's what I do. So I'm gonna call this one pan. Well, yeah, no, I'll get the actual paint color names here. So that's purple pizzazz. Apparently you spell pizzazz with that many Z's. Okay, and then I've got, oh gosh, had a heck of a time picking out paint colors for this because some of them just weren't quite right for what I was looking for. So my bottom layer, maybe about there. So we've got why do I have this many purples? That's a good question. Why do we have this many purples? I need to color match now because I color matched these earlier today. I'm like, yeah, this is good, this is good. This will work. And now I'm sitting here staring at these colors like, what was I doing? Where did I plan on putting these? Okay, I'm not using the blue. I've changed my mind on the blue. It doesn't really need to be there. Okay, so my top color was going to be this. So this was, was it that? Or was it this? I think that was the purple pizzazz. I'm gonna set that over there. Okay, so my very bottom color was going to be this. And I'm pretty sure that I was going to do... It's that. That I was going to do this color for the bottoms. This is Poetic Plum. Do these paint colors matter? No, not really. We're not going to see this part. It will be all covered up. Okay, so I'm going to set that over there. Alright. Very bottom. Then I've got a little stripey stripe of a lilac-y color. And I'm beginning to think that maybe I did not twist enough of this color. Maybe I did. We'll figure it out. So this is called Purple Cow. Okay, so Purple Cow's definitely happening. Alright, so then I've got another little bit of like a orange pinky color. And that's kind of here. I don't know what I was thinking, but this is definitely not enough of this color. So I'm gonna have to get more of that. I have it, I just have to prep it. That's not enough of that. That is peaches and cream. That is in a Ziploc bag because oh wait, not to you yet. I'm jumping the gun. I need tea berry. Okay. So this is tea berry. Okay. And above the tea berry, kind of maybe here-ish. We've got a sun. I just didn't feel like pulling out circle stencil. I actually don't need the white. Okay, so we got that. I don't know why I didn't take more of this. Or this, for that matter. Alright, so I picked that color out. There is a slight... kind of hazy ring of orange around that. So that is going to be bright orange. So that color, check. So it'd probably be a little bit smaller on that. So I've got banana cream for our interior of our sun. And then I've got this like golden yellow color for the outer ring. This I'm pretty sure I've got enough of prepped. Okay, then we've got This one. Is it the tea berry that I was gonna put in the middle? That's a good question. Okay. So then up here, just above that. So between that and like that is going to be another tea berry. I don't have an eraser with me, so that's why I'm doing it this way. Above that is going to be my purple cow. That is the pansy one. I feel like I have an extra purple here. You. What color are you supposed to be? Because you're a mystery as to who I'm supposed to be putting you on top of. I actually feel like you... Okay, you were supposed to be this one. You are plum. That is plum. This is a plum. This is probably Diox. Okay. So then that means this that I do not have enough of. I seriously underestimated how much I need, but that's okay because I will have time to get more of it prepped. This is going to be peaches and cream. Okay. And I don't know if I'm using this color or not because I feel like when I was twisting paper, I saw the vision. And now that vision is lost to me. So that's fun. So I'm gonna sit you to the side because now I don't know what I intended to do with you. It's a mystery. The me that prepped this weeks ago had the idea of what they wanted to do with it, but the me now is just like, and then I have black to do the silhouettes, but it's gonna, I don't need the black paint for that though. That's just not something that we are going to need. So, as I said earlier, I tend to do an underpainting. It's a lot easier for me because that way I know where all of my colors are roughly going. And then if I have any gaps, you don't see like the white of the canvas underneath. So it works out in the end. So this stage can be messy as heck. Doesn't need to be super precise. We're not going for perfection here in this stage. So give me 1 minute. about that. There was a loud thud on our porch that sounded like someone like slammed against our door, and I was like, what the hell? The husband was doing something. So this can be a little bit messy. It can be watered down. Like this, again, doesn't need to be perfection. Because this part doesn't really matter. We're literally just getting color down so that the background isn't white, and so I don't lose my place or suddenly forget what color I intended to go where. I can come back in and paint the edges of the canvas on the sides later. Not a big deal. Literally just doing this to get color on the thing. Okay, so we've got that color. We set that to the side. So the plum, looks like I've not used the plum yet, at least. Alright, so we're gonna give that a good shake it. And I'm gonna set the plum to the side. Like, I had to pull out all of these colors earlier. I really wish I had better access to my paint. Like, ideally, I want to get like an old china cabinet or like an old entertainment center. Like old dressers with drawers in them or something. Like china buffet side tables, something like that. Where I can get like the little paint risers to set my paint tubes up on, or my paint bottles. So that way they're right there, right? Because right now I have them in a storage bin that's like at the bottom of a stack of storage bins. And a lot of the time, if something's not accessible, it's something else that's in my way to do the thing. And sometimes pulling the stuff out is half the battle for me to do the thing, which is deeply frustrating. And I know it's definitely like a me issue, but I do know it's part of what stops me, because I can't just do the thing. I have to do 5 things before I can do the thing, you know? And I would be much happier and probably paint more if I could access it a little bit easier. Like, I've been wanting to gouache paint recently. I really wanted to get back to my little Bob Ross project where I'm trying to paint all of his tutorials with gouache. Just in an attempt to try to get better at using gouache. But the size that I'm doing it, I have to cut the paper first. So that means I have to pull out the paper cutter, and then I need to pull out a past painting because I don't have a template readily available, and I didn't trust my ability to size measure it properly. And then I had to dig out the pad of paper. Like, they're all steps in between. Okay, that paintbrush is very loose. Alright, we've got the purple for the bottom. And the stupid part is, this is all I needed these paints for. I'll probably pick one color that will be my these are very different colors in the bottle and out of the bottle. I need to pick a color that my edges will end up being. But I just wanted to take a quick side quest from needle felting for a hot second. To work on these. We'll get back to needle felting for a little bit when we're done this one. So now I need to prep some more tissue paper. Because now I'm like, I really don't think I have enough now. And that's a problem. Okay, so this brush is very loose. I don't use this brush very often. Okay, so we got that color in. I guess Tea-Berry is what I'm gonna do next. Again, this part entirely optional. This is just something that I like to do as part of my process. Wow, that one was really liquidy. Holy cow. Probably didn't shake it enough. That's okay. But this process was definitely helpful when it came to working on the large piece that I did. Because then I didn't have to keep referring back to a sketch, afraid of losing my place and getting carried away. Like, very, very helpful. Even though, like, I had to change my my underpainting. I actually started out with the water looking different than how it ended up coming out. I was trying to do just like a reflection, kind of like triangular in the middle. And as I was trying to work on it, my brain was just like, this feels wrong. And the more I kept trying to make it work, the worse it was looking. And I ended up having to spray the whole thing down with water and scrape it off with a paint scraper because the glue was already drying. And start over at the sunset line. Hadn't gotten too far, thankfully, but which doing that meant that I needed to redo how I had my water set up, which I was kind of mad at myself about. So I was like, no. But yeah, thought I had to go through that whole process. All right, so this guy, the lid is broken. I don't know how the lid got broken, but the lid definitely is broken. Like across the back hinge and stuff, so I was afraid that oh, it's broke. Oh, that's new. Like, why isn't it pouring out? Oh. Oh, okay. So that's a thing. Alright, so this one is royally messed up. Okay, that's alright. Well, that's a thing. Okay, let me see if I can rinse my finger there. Okay. So, if that's the case, then I will just keep the tape on the lid. Now look here, Pete. I heard you jiggling and wiggling around in there, so I know some of you is liquidy. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to definitely twist more of this. So the tissue paper I have is like, it came in like your standard sheets of tissue paper. Well, some of it came in like your standard gift wrap configuration. The rest of it just came in like large flat sheets. And I got my paper cutter because I had to cut a whole bunch of tissue paper into tiny squares. And your girl wasn't doing that by hand. Not with scissors. I would still be cutting tissue paper and be losing my mind. I did that once by hand, and I was like, oh no, for a smaller project. And then I got like a small paper trimmer, and the most that can handle at a time is like 3 to 4 sheets. Kind of. So I was like, yeah, no, not for this scale of an operation. For the amount that I am going to need. It would be super, super helpful if I actually had a proper paper cutter. So it took me about maybe 2.5 weeks of just slicing paper. And then I had to, from there, twist the paper. So all of the paper that you're gonna see started out as larger sheets and then were cut down into smaller squares just to make it easier to deal with. I am surprised. I can hear liquid paint in there, but there's like a solid plug at the top, which is fascinating. Not ideal, but why are you... There we go. You're being stubborn. Okay, so we need our orange. I haven't been doing much acrylic painting lately, and I feel bad. I've just been kind of distracted by other stuff, and there's just not enough hours in the day to get through all of the things that I want to do. I don't know why I seemed to think that was enough of the peach color. Like, looking at this, what on earth made me think that little bit was enough? I think I was in the mental space of, oh, we'll be starting this sooner than later. And then it took me longer than I expected to finish the tissue paper. Not the tissue. It took me longer than I expected to finish that needle felt. I guess. I guess that's what happened. And so I was like trying to rush through prepping the paper. I was like, oh no, like this will be enough, right? It's only like an 8 by 10. It's enough. In my rush to get through it. No, not anywhere near enough. Just not. I have more. Like, that's not the issue. I have a fair amount of that color still, I believe, left over from the flamingo project. Like, all of this is left over from the flamingo project. Okay, so I'm just trying to make sure I've got this brush as rinsed as I can. I'm gonna stick you up in the brush cup. Okay, you are gonna go off to the side so you can dry, so I can deal with you later. All of these, except for one, are gonna go back into the box. Okay, so now you pick out the colors. Now, while that's finishing up drying, we are going to need glue. I am going to be using tacky glue. You can use Elmer's. You can, in theory, use Mod Podge on your base. However, if you're gonna go with Mod Podge, that cat chewed the cap on this. How? Oh, that bastard. There's tiny little teeth holes in my cap. Sorry. Mr. Bean strikes again. Elmer's, you're gonna want to put it down in small sections. And you're going to want to give it like a good, I don't know, depending on how warm it is and how quick it dries for you. Maybe 3 to 5 minutes. Like, you want it to start to just barely get a skin on it. Just barely. With the Elmer's. Now, if you're doing it flat, you might not have to wait that long. But you might, if you don't want to wait that long for it to start to get a skin on the glue surface, then you're going to want, or you might, if you're trying to do like a fancy shape or something with it, you're going to probably have to hold it in place with your fingers or a toothpick or a stylus or something that can get glue on it for a few moments to possibly a minute or two for it to stay where you're trying to put it. Elmer's glue, while it can work, requires a bit more fussing. Mod Podge, I think, will start to dry faster, but it's also a lot runnier, and I think you're going to run into these similar issues as you will with the Elmer's. The tacky glue, I have found, works the best. It's the least fussy of the bunch. Truthfully, I probably should have started down on the midline there of the, or the bottom line of this color. Probably would have been my better option there. So this stuff, I've not really had any issues with it. It kind of grips the paper really quickly. I could have put it directly on here, but then I still would have probably ended up spreading it out with a paintbrush. If you're going to go with a paintbrush to spread your glue out, make sure it's not a good one. Because if you don't get the glue completely and fully rinsed out properly, you could damage your brush. So I use old brushes that I've had laying around for a bit, that I haven't used in ages, that I forgot existed. So, you know, that way I'm not mourning the loss of a good, expensive brush. And every time I put glue down, I rinse my brush out real good. And then I dry it. Because I don't want, just dab it on the paper towel. I don't want any, I'm going to turn it this way for a minute. I don't want any glue water residue stuck in there. Because that could be problematic for me to keep using the brush. Alright, and then I am just going to start dropping my paper in. Now, I twist my paper. So it started out as a little square. So then I twisted it to get these little paper twisty doodles. Probably gonna add a couple more. Or I might come back and add a little bit more glue on this top edge just to make sure I'm good. Like after these guys are set. So yeah, my one finger is in there. You're gonna get glue on you. It's gonna happen. If you think that you can do this without getting glue on you at all, I wish you luck in that endeavor, because I certainly couldn't avoid it. I mean, maybe if you're using 2 toothpicks, chopsticks, styluses, one to kind of help hold everything in place, the other one's to kind of smush it in there, but I was constantly like rubbing glue off of my fingers. If you watched that speed paint, that's what I'm doing. Whenever I'm going like this, I was trying to get the glue off of my fingertips. Because it was pretty much unavoidable. Now, if I was doing this part with tacky or with Elmer's, I would definitely have started down here and let that set up before I started pushing against it. If I had tried to do this section with Elmer's, it would have probably already been sliding down the edge here. I would have had to hold that in place for a little bit. That's why I suggest the tacky glue more. I understand if you can't get the tacky glue and that's your only option. Like, I get it is what it is, but I just want to make sure that you know that you're gonna have a slightly tougher time if you go the non-tacky glue route. I also suggest working in small sections. I do not suggest slathering a bunch of glue down in a large section, because by the time you get there, the glue in that section will probably be almost dry. I can tell you right now, I did too large of a section here, because I can see the glue on the edge of this already drying. Definitely needs to be a bit of a smaller section than this. Now you can work in a larger section if you don't want to be constantly putting glue down. You can, you just need to accommodate for that and put a little bit more glue down. Don't go too thin. If you're going to be going thin in your sections of glue, like super thin, then you're going to want to work in very small sections. Like, I'm not saying make it thick enough so that the paper is floating, because then you're really going to have a mess on your other tool or finger, whatever you're using to help hold everything together. But it's something, trial and error. Like, it's not super thin. Like, I can't completely see the canvas through the glue, but it's also not like swimming in a sea of glue either. I know that's not exactly very descriptive, but kind of the best description I can come up with at the moment. And don't be afraid as your other pieces start to dry and get locked in to push against them. What do I mean by that? By putting a new piece down in the fresh glue, or the wet glue, and pushing against the other pieces that are there. This will help prevent any gaps in between the little papery twists from being too visible. And bugging the crap out of you. Now, you're probably going to get glue on the surface of the piece that's going to be visible. The tacky glue dries clear, so that is good. And very helpful. There is somebody in this town that is revving their car engine, and I don't know if their vehicle is having that much trouble or if they're doing it on purpose. But dear God, if you were doing it on purpose, please stop. Because holy hell is it distracting. It's 9:30 at night. Must we? Okay. Now, when we're all done, we're gonna take some Mod Podge. And hi Zuzu, what's the matter? What can I do for you? The complaints department's kind of closed for the evening. Are you really gonna make me reopen the window? Did you give him second dinner?
Yeah, I just did.
Did he eat? Because he came over here to lodge a complaint about something. And I'm not entirely sure what that was. But when we're all done and everybody's been put into place, we've got all of our bits of paper where they need to be, we're gonna come back in with, hi, buddy. I don't know what you want from me. I'm not going to bed yet. We just got started. Do you need more water? Is the water bowl empty? Is your food bowl empty? Are you still hungry? Or is this about going to bed? Because we are far from going to bed. You're just staring at me. I don't know what you want. Do you need to go potty? Are you still hungry? Did you just burp at me? I think you burped it at me. Mommy's not going to bed. Not yet. Don't you sass me. Are you... listen. Are you still hungry? You're still hungry. You have to talk to Daddy. That's between you and Dad. Because this is your second dinner. This is 100% between you and Dadu. I do not know what you want me to do, but again, you have to talk to Mr. Man. If you have like a little tail that's being weird about sticking, you can just grab a little bit of your tacky glue and put it there. Oh, buddy! Did you just fall over? Did you fall over? I told you. You have to talk to Mr. Man. I'm sorry. That's between you two.
What?
Oh my goodness!
You didn't even eat it. Go.
He didn't eat? At all?
He nibbled at, but that's all he did. I don't have any more hamburger. You're all done. Bacon's what you got. Go eat.
Oh, was that what this is?
Probably. I don't have any. We're all done.
Maybe put some chimkin in it.
We're all done.
He is such a brat. Now he's gonna come back over here. But yeah, if you've got like a little piece sticking up that's being a little bit fussy about sticking down, you can always just go back at it with a little bit of glue on your brush. And just kind of re-stick it down. Alright. So there's that, and we're just gonna grab some more of our paper. Now, is this shade like a perfect match to the photo? Hell no. But it's what I had. So we're working with what we got. Because I certainly wasn't going to buy more. The whole part, or the whole point of this, was so that I could try to use up some of what I've got laying around. So I have less stuff laying around. Collecting dust. Right? Like, even though the main project that I had gotten these for is finished, that doesn't mean that we can't use it still. And use it for other things. Sorry, I might have been out of frame there for a second. Certainly had enough of this color, I think. I am hopeful that I have enough of this color. I think I do. Like twisted, that is. I know it might seem silly, but I love using the Ziploc bags for keeping stuff organized. We use it for the fluff, for our needle felting. And I use it for these guys. Now, this is not something that I prep everything of, because that would take me months of twisting paper for the amount of paper that I have laying about. So I tend to just kind of figure it out. So, and that's really all there is to it for now. For now, it's just kind of all about laying the paper in. Now, you could trim that length to fit where the glue is, or you can just plop it down and let some of it be outside of the glue section. And when you come back to your next bit of glue, you could just hit it with some tacky glue just to make sure it's good and secure. That's an option. Sometimes I will overlap the ends just a teeny bit, just so it doesn't look so like stripey between all of the pieces, where it's quite like end to end, row to row kind of thing, just so it doesn't look kind of weird close up. Now, whatever you're using to try to help you smush these guys down into the glue, you're gonna want to clean it off. Every like other piece or so, ideally like every piece, just do like a quick finger swipe on it. So I was saying getting glue on you is probably inevitable, but it's tacky glue, it's water-based. It's not gonna hurt you if you get it on your fingers. You can either just rub it off of your finger or soap and water it off at the end. If you do use the rubbing off of your finger method, try to do it not right over top of your piece, because all the little gluey bits will fall down into the crevices. And it's a pain to get them out of there. I did that accidentally a couple times without realizing it. I was like, oh crap. Like that's not a good time. That is anything but. But like you will get some glue buildup on the end. In fact, every so often throughout the day, when I was doing the other project, I would be sitting there like picking the cap of glue off of the end of my toothpick. Just because it would be building up almost like candle wax, like if you were doing dip candles. Anybody remembers ever making those? Like, it's not a perfect match to that paint, but it's okay. So yeah, when we're all done, we'll grab the Mod Podge. We'll do a good coat over the top of it, and that'll just kind of like help solidify everything together, and it'll put a nice sealant on the top of it. I did try doing spray sealer instead with the Mod Podge and without the Mod Podge. And it made the piece look splotchy on both of my tests. I guess maybe some of the pieces that looked discolored, I don't know if those are sections where the tacky glue had like smeared on the top, or if it was like where the underside of the paper, 'cause sometimes the underside will be a slightly different color than the front side. Sometimes in some tissue paper, not all. Really didn't think I had that problem with this paper. So it might have just been where tacky glue had gotten on the surface of it, where it looked splotchy. That's the only way I can describe it. So the Mod Podge didn't do that. So I don't know how well Mod Podge is going to handle like the humidity of a bathroom. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this for very humid rooms to be a wall hanging in. Without maybe doing like a test piece. I mean, once you're sure that the Mod Podge has been good and cured for a couple of weeks, I'd honestly give it like a good month and a half before I'd say it's fully dry, because you are soaking the paper layers. Now it'll be dry to the touch before that, but I wouldn't really risk putting it somewhere that is moisture heavy before then. Plus it's paper. Like, I don't know what hanging that in a bathroom would do to it, you know? Other rooms of the house are going to be fine. Just, I couldn't possibly, with any sort of confidence, say that you'd be good. That would definitely make me a little nervous to commit to saying that you'd be good for that. I am working on a new gouache painting video. I got through about, what was it? It was just under 4 hours, I think. I've gotten through an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes of that video. Today, this weekend, I'm going to try to get some more Little Known Galaxy to try to finish that up. Man, Moobot is not doing their job. I don't know why Moobot's not doing their job, but they're not. Why is that wet? Didn't think I had spilled that much water. Okay. So just gonna get back to it here. Kind of popping these guys in here. And you can totally cut your paper if you need to resize it. It's a little too long. No problems. I did that plenty. It's just paper. Now, if you want to ensure that your little paper nub doesn't go flying halfway across the room, depending on how tightly you twisted it, that could be a possibility. You can always take a handy dandy Ziploc bag and a pair of scissors and cut it inside the bag. And I say a Ziploc bag because then it's clear and you can see through it. And you can see what you're doing. It doesn't have to be that brand. We're certainly not sponsored by them. But it is an option. And then, you know, you can reuse the little bits that you cut off to fill in other areas that you just need a teeny tiny piece in. I have also done that a few times where I've needed to. Waste not, want not, right? Like, nothing wrong with that. It's still paper, it'll still glue into the spot. And like these little tiny bits sticking up, you'll be able to smush them down with the Mod Podge when you come back in to do that. I have some of these that are a little bit smaller than others. That's what I was looking for. Might have used all of the small bits in that section that I had pulled out of there, though. Okay, so I'm going to turn this guy upside down. And I am going to work on filling this section in here. Now I am going to add a little bit of extra glue here on the end pieces. Since the other pieces I'm about to slip into here. Are going to be overlapping there just a little bit. And I'm just going to rinse this. Sometimes I'll use like the same cup that my glue is in to put the water in. I have this larger cup going at the moment, so that's just what I am using. And again, I'm going to make sure I dry it. just to try to get as much of that glue residue out as I can. And you don't necessarily have to follow your painted in color key to a T. You're more than able to change your mind, make adjustments on the fly. You know, you do what you need to do. For sure. Sorry, the dogs are being weird. Now, a lot of times, if I'm starting a new section and don't have anything to like smush everything up against that's solidified, like we are here, sometimes I will just put a couple of them, and then like I'll do like a small bead and then let that set for a second and then come back. Sometimes that's helpful if you're having trouble getting everybody in there happily. So that is also an option. Because it usually doesn't take too long for it to set up enough to grab. Just I kind of forgot that I probably should do that because I was working from the other direction. When we got started, I was working from edge up, and you can still continue to work from edge up. I kind of prefer to do the edge section last, though. I've come to have an easier time of getting everybody smushed in. Working from the inside edge to the outer. Again, personal preference. I do currently have it upside down at the moment. For anybody that's just joining. I've got just enough glue on the tip of my finger that's starting to dry. So it's grabbing the paper and it doesn't want to let go. So it's trying to take all of it with me. And the tacky glue is not anywhere near like super glue. It's fine. If you want to keep like a damp paper towel to like wipe your fingers off onto, or like a damp old sponge that can get weird with funky glue bits in it, also an option. Okay. But just in case we do have any little gaps that show up in between the paper, we've got that underpainting, right? So that way, and I know we're not really going to see the underpainting, right? This, the only purpose this serves, well, okay, there's two purposes that it serves. The first and foremost is that if we do have any little gaps show up, we're not looking at glaring white spots shining through, right? If anything, it'll be like maybe a shadowy black little tiny spot, but it'll keep it from looking white. The goal is to not have those happen at all. But you know, sometimes you just don't get it quite smushed as tight as you would like to. So it happens. But if we have that bit of underpainting there, probably won't be as noticeable. Now, if we had just a glaring white canvas, it would be noticeable. Ask me how I know. From trial and error. Plus, it also serves another purpose of, well, I guess it serves three purposes. This way, I don't have to constantly be checking my reference if I'm using a reference to do this, or my sketch, or what have you. And then I can actually see and get a better idea of what this is going to look like with the colored paper down. Right? Like, it'll give me a better idea of what I'm working with. And I can kind of get a better idea of, okay, how much paper do I really need for this section or that section? Sorry, I've got all kinds of gluey bits stuck to myself here. So I'm going to grab some more of my glue. To show you what I mean. So I'll take a little bit. And just like maybe the width of the brush that I'm using. And I will work along the edge. Gonna need to add some more glue to my glue cup here. And I use the cup because I don't like squeezing the bottle out constantly. It will dry on you over time in the cup too. I had quite a dense plug of glue built up in there a couple of times for the big canvas project. Just because, oh, I put too much out. I had to walk away, and then what was there, like, kind of solidified. Oh, I didn't use all of it before I stopped for the day, those kinds of situations. Alright, so now I am going to come in and start trying to fill in this line here. Again, doesn't have to match the paint line precisely. we're doing our best. And I have done this with the Elmers before. This would be tough with the Elmers. It would involve a lot of holding it in place for several minutes. So it's not super easy. Well, doable. You definitely need patience and be able to kind of work around the trouble that might come with it. But I'm hoping that by the time I get this bit filled in here, we will be solidified enough that when we come back, we'll be good to keep going. So we did one or at least one of these following along with a Bob Ross tutorial. It was a little bit of a challenge. It was fun though. But I figured this seemed like a good one to attempt with this. And like we didn't really need it to be all that thick. You could have probably did it a lot thinner and just did like one piece and then came back to fill in the rest of it. But my glue brush was a little bit wider than I kind of realized. So that's okay. Just means we will fill that in. I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, it's down. It'd be a shame to waste the glue that's already there. And then probably get this guy mooshed into there. Alright, so I'll need to get some more paper here. Because that's not going to go very far. Oh god, yeah, what was I thinking? For that peach color. Did I just forget that I needed more? I do not know. Alright. I have to put some tape over the lid on this bottle. Because there's still a hefty amount of glue in here. I guess I had it sitting on my desk and His Majesty decided to chew on it. as he does with everything on my desk. Doesn't matter what it is. He's gonna chew on it. Okay. So I'm gonna come back over to this section where we were earlier. While I am letting our little edge there set up. And I'm gonna start filling this in. I probably got a little carried away on that end section there. Yeah, probably. That's fine. Now, I don't have a separate playlist for the tissue paper art. I think I just have it under my my painting playlist. I probably should give it its own. But I didn't have that many, so I was like, eh. Or at least like not that many individual projects. Like there was one that took a few live streams to get through. But maybe if I end up doing a few more of these, I'll kind of give it its own little playlist over there. Okay. So, and you know, this is just what it is. It's rinse and repeat. Glue down, paper in place. Glue down, paper in place. Like, it's just what we're going to be doing. Sorry if my head dipped into the shot. Sometimes that is unavoidable. Now, we certainly won't be finishing this in one session. I mean, one this size, if I wasn't live streaming it, maybe a day. Maybe 2 days. But since we are streaming this guy, I don't know, maybe 2 to 3. kind of depends. On how far we get during a session. Now Tuesday, next Tuesday, this could very well change before then, but they do seem to have us in a chance of angry skies. I don't know what time that's going to be, and Tuesday's still a long ways off as far as the weather world is concerned. So it could very much change before then. But let's see what happens. Just giving y'all a warning that Dinkum next week may or may not happen. So make sure you are following on the blue skies, because that is where I post when I have to cancel. So that way y'all aren't just like stuck sitting here like, is she going live? Is she running late? If I'm running like 10 minutes, 15 minutes late, I don't always post that. If I know I'm gonna be like a half hour plus, I try to let y'all know. Because sometimes life's and things can happen very quickly last minute around here. Okay. So, I mean, it's going pretty good clip here. This will certainly be a lot faster than that large one. For sure. Okay. And rinsey, rinsey, rinsey. Just whenever you decide to rinse the glue off your brush in, make sure that you don't use it for food or anything, or drinking. That is strictly an art object now. You don't want to mix the two. Out of an abundance of caution. I would not recommend a glue stick for this. I mean, it might work, but you are gonna be so sticky. I just think that's going to be more of a mess than this. Could be wrong, mind you, but that just doesn't sound like a good time. At least not to me. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Alrighty. This guy popped into here. Now, you can do the side edges if you really want to. I did that in that big project. Just to because the edges were pretty chunky. It was like a gallery wrap canvas. But you don't have to. Like I did all four side bits. That wasn't in the recording though. I had some of it on the recording, but that probably would have been at least another hour added into that recording if I had. It was just awkward with the way I had the canvas positioned so that I could see what I was doing, and there was no way where I was going to have it where it wasn't going to be a torturous situation for me to attempt to film that. So I was like, yeah, no, we don't need to show that. That's just not really worth it. Okay. That piece into there. So, I mean, it's a lot of put the glue down, rinse the brush, dry the brush, put the paper in, put more glue in the cup. You know, it's a lot of the same stuff. So I'm not sure what our next magnet's gonna be. I know I was trying to do that season 30 following Bob. However, season 30 is very tricky. Very tricky. Because a lot of it was like weird painting techniques that just weren't really gonna jive. And in fact, there's a couple of those that I don't think I would even really bother attempting with the gouache either. Because, you know, a few of them were just like learning and technique experiences. Just kind of showing you a couple funky things that you could do. So I don't know that I would even bother with doing or even trying to do one of those with the gouache. So I'm kind of trying to overlap those end pieces there a little bit. By all means, don't forget as you're going to come back and like push down to make sure it's actually seated in the glue, because sometimes you can be like pushing like up against your edge that you've got locked in place, and you'll start to like slip underneath of your layers if you get too carried away, and then that's a whole nother issue. So you don't like, you want to try to smush them together and pack them in there fairly tightly, but you also don't want to get like super carried away where you're slipping underneath of your previous ones that you've put down already. Okay. Alrighty, get this guy. Like, your hands will get messy. More than likely. Like, that's just a hazard with this particular bit here. Just trying to scrape the glue off the end of my toothpick so I can try to reuse it, although I don't know, I might not reuse it. A week's a long time to keep track of that, to make sure that cats don't get it. And again, rinsey, rinsey, rinsey. Try to get like up at the edge of the, was it ferrule? The metal bit. Just to make sure I don't have any glue residue hiding up there, causing me problems. Oh, let go. Doesn't take much of the tacky glue to start holding on to the paper. The main reason why I put it down as thick as I do is to give me work time. Like, I could go a lot thinner on that, but I'd have to do much smaller sections of glue. Just putting it in a little bit thicker so you can't see the color underneath. It means it's going to take a little bit more time to dry. So I'm just grabbing some of my little shorter guys here. Just to kind of fill in that little bit there. Now, it's fine if you didn't want to do that. It'll dry, and you can always add more glue on top of dried glue. Like, that's not, it's not like super important that every little spot has to be filled right away. Whoop. Where did that one go? Well, that one seems to be gone. I'm sure I'll find it later. More than likely. And you don't have to work on it upside down. I just am, so I can see. Right? Why should I make this harder on myself, essentially? Like, that's not fun. Now, I will say, right now, this paper looks pretty dull, right? When you go to add the Mod Podge on top of it, it will have a bit of a color transformation. Especially if you're using the gloss Mod Podge. It will really just snap to attention. It'll just be quite the punch of color. You can still kind of get that pop with the color on the matte, because to be perfectly honest, the matte still has a slight sheen to it, in my experience, unless I'm remembering using the wrong bottle. But I think I had one that had the matte on it and it was still slightly shiny. Not as shiny as the gloss, but it still definitely punched the color up a bit. Where it almost didn't even look like the same color I had put down. Now see, these guys, they are locked in place. It just took a few minutes. And I probably could have started filling in that section sooner, but I was like, yeah, we'll get there. Now, if you have like a curve or something, it might be a little bit easier to try to curve your paper twist before you try to pop that into place. I only need one of you. And you're probably actually a little big. We can make it work. I've got all kinds of little, like, gluey bits all over my shirt from rubbing it off on my finger. It's a little messy. So do be prepared. Don't wear good clothes. I'm always mystified when I see people wearing like what looks to be really good, really nice like shirts and stuff when they're painting, and I'm like, I could never. I would have that such a mess. I would have paint on me within like 10 minutes. Probably would have happened while setting up. I'm like, wow. You all have a level of confidence or just a non klutzy dimension to you that I do not possess. Like, I have really shitty clothes or older clothes that are starting to become thread worn or threadbare, and or stuff that I've just had for so long that it now has stains on it, and or it's getting holes in it. That's the kind of stuff I'll paint in most of the time. Or stuff that I tend to wear in layers. Where the layer that could potentially get paint on it really wouldn't be all that visible. And if it's something that I absolutely wore on accident and cannot get anything on, I will put like towels over my lap to make sure I don't drip anything on me. I'm excited for Planet Zoo tomorrow. Get back into working on that first boat station. I'm not sure if I'm gonna try to blueprint that station. I mean, I could try. I can never seem to get them lined up right. But we can certainly give it a go. That would save us some trouble for when we get to the other side. Okay, so we've got that bit there. I'm gonna kind of tap in some glue on the very edge of that. And we're gonna fill in this section here. Okay. Time to rinse. All right. And we're gonna hop right on back in. Felt like I gotten it wet or something. My hand felt damp. Which seemed odd, but okay. Everything looks okay. Alrighty. And as long as I've gotten enough glue down and it's wet enough, it should grab it. And the good thing about this stuff is if for some reason it started to dry a little too much or it wasn't quite liquidy enough still to grab the paper, we can just slap a little bit more glue down on there. And we'll be good to go. Now, if you wanted to do clouds, you could do like little snail shell shapes where you just kind of like roll the piece up on top of itself to make a little, like a little flower shape or like a little snail shell. Obviously, I would do that tighter if I was planning on sticking that down there, but that's an option. This one didn't really have any fluffy clouds on it, so we are trying to find one that's the right size. That was actually a lot longer than I thought it was. So, oopsie boo. It's a lot smaller when I went to pick it up. Alright, now, so I'm just kind of trying to deglue my finger here for a second. That is something that one needs to do periodically with this. Alright, I am cut that in half. And then I'll stick the other half of them. Right in there. Totally fine to trim your paper. It's not like it's not allowed. You can totally do that. Okay. And this guy. Try to squish into there. So now we're getting to the tricky edge bit here. It can be a little bit tricky in there. Just because it is a little bit of a rounded edge here, and I am kind of coming up on the edge. Like, I didn't have to. I could have stopped on the flat edge, but like I'm not fully coming down the side either. I'm trying to as it's moving around on me. Trying to keep it as even as I can there. Those edges can be tricky though. Okay, that should be pretty good there. Try to get all of the glowy bits brushed everywhere. Get them out of the way. I like doing this. Like, I like doing this tissue paper art. But I also hate being sticky. So it's like a whole thing. I don't know why I like doing it so much because I get so messy. Like, I don't normally mind paint on me. To a degree. Glue, man. Something about the glue. Just I'm like constantly trying to pick it off. But then again, I'm also guilty of being a young bored kid and sitting at home with nothing else to do, slathering one of my hands in Elmer's glue and letting it dry just to peel it off. And then, inevitably getting yelled at, "You're wasting school supplies, stop it." Okay. So I'm going to do a smaller, somewhat smaller section there. Okay. Try to clean up our toothpick. And you don't have to like pull the glue buildup off the end of your toothpick. If you have a bunch, you just want to grab a new one, then grab a new one. I mean, I still have a few toothpicks in this jar, but it's like, I can just peel it off. It's fine. look at that guy, put it there. Okay. All right. If your paper feels loose, you can always just twist it a little bit tighter. Alrighty. That was probably a little bit long. I probably could have trimmed that guy a bit there. Okay. Alrighty. That hopped into there. And then this guy. That's not looking too bad. And we'll finish up this little section here. So my mission the next few days, while I am trying to catch up on video editing, is going to be to get some more of that peach color. Twisted. I think that's probably the one that I have the least of. Alright. Picking back up with our same purpley shade here. Now on that Flamingo sunset piece. I didn't have like huge chunky blocks of the same color. I had blocks of the same color, but some of them were more smaller, more like cloudy stripey thingies. And they were in some different shapey guys. Okay. Nope, nope, nope. You are getting a little silly there. Okay. I am trying to kind of overlap it. You can kind of see where it's being laid in. I don't know if that's coming across on camera, but I can definitely see it in person. But once we get the that final layer in there, I think the possum's on the porch. I hear something moving around out there. Unless it was the husband.
Nope, it's awesome.
He likes to stick his feet in the cat food bowl. And he tips it up to eat out of it, and then it slams back down on the porch. But you know what? I don't really care that the possum is eating out of the cat food bowl, because that means the possum is hanging around. And he'll be on the lookout for ticks. He or she. And other undesirable outside pests that I don't want to deal with, so that's fine. If it keeps them coming back and drifting through the yard and doing a pass through or other things, I'm okay with that. Alright, let's see. Right, I've still got a little bit of blue here. Already in the cuppy. I realized that previously I was doing a little bit wider swaths here, like longer, not necessarily wider. So let's try to get those in place. I'm almost out of glue in the cup. I got that glue all over the place. Oh, I didn't even realize I had used both ends of this. Okay. Let's head back in here. And keep the party rolling. Okay. This guy smushed into there. Okay. There. Ah, I didn't want to drag it completely through there, because then I would have had a swath where I didn't have any glue down. So it would have swiped it all away. And that wouldn't do. Okay. That kind of slid into there. Just kind of working with the sizes I've got left pulled out here. I mean, I could pull some more out of the bag in search of the perfect pieces, but that's okay. If we get enough of these guys all smooshed on in here, won't even notice. I'll probably have to trim a few pieces here and there eventually, but we'll see. Like, I'm not against the trimming. I've trimmed plenty previously. But if we can get by without doing so, that's also just fine. Oh, dang it. Oh, good. That one didn't go far. As long as they don't hit the floor, I'm okay with still using them. But once these guys have hit the floor here, they are kind of dead to me, right? With all the animal hair, and vacuuming only does so much, and sweeping only does so much. I actually kind of need to try to vacuum this little tiny rug under my chair soon. Probably do that, or try to do that sometime this weekend. Actually, both of the throw rugs in here. No, not really a throw rug. It's more like an area rug. Our floors are not level. So the only way to keep my desk chair from rolling halfway across the room while I'm sitting at my desk is to have these throw ruggy guys or area rugs down. It also helps the doggo and keeps him from sliding on this floor. So it kind of has two purposes. Okay, let's see. I don't know if I have enough glue to finish that section. We got a little bit of glue here. So when we get done with this color, yes, cow. What is the matter? I think it's cow. Could be Peanut. Could you meow again? Meow? Could you meow one more time? Because I talked over you. Usually this time of night it's Peanut. Anyhow, when we get done with this color, we'll be able to flip this guy back right side up so that we can then work towards the bottom. Oh no, it was cow. You usually can't shut Peanut up once he starts. He's like meowed at the wall for like 20 minutes before. No idea why. As far as we know, we haven't seen any evidence of more mice. We haven't heard them in the ceiling in a long time, so I think we finally got rid of them all because you could hear them. Oh, you know what? That's what changed. That's why Zuzu's in here all the time and not in my parents' room or in my mom's room.
What?
The mice are gone. You could hear them running through the attic space in this room. Very loud.
Well, yeah, but that he still went in there a lot even afterwards.
I don't know. He's not so crazy about being in there now. He'll go in there sometimes. Like, we had a heck of a time getting rid of those mice, too. We had multiple live traps. And we were driving them a good distance away from here. Well, a good distance for a mouse. And dropping them off near the one lake that had a feral cat population. Or at least was a dumping ground for people to dump cats. And there'd be somebody up there feeding them. I don't know if they were part of the local pound trying to make friends to try to catch them, or if it was just somebody that lived up there. I think we only ever had 3 to our knowledge actually down in the living space of the house. I think we caught 1 in our bathroom closet, and I think we caught 2 in the kitchen. All the rest were up in the attic crawl space. And like, it's not like they were squeaky loud, it's just their feet running sounded so loud. Like, it sounded like there was a herd of squirrels up there and not little tiny itty bitty mice. I don't know if we ever figured out how they were getting in either. I know I haven't seen any running through the yard either. So maybe the one cat that thinks she lives here but doesn't manage to hunt them all. Finally. Okay, almost done with this color. I'm getting there. But yeah, we definitely have to pull some more of these guys out of our paper bag here. Because that just isn't enough. Oh, hello. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate that. Hope you're having a good evening. Greatly, greatly appreciate that. And we are just working our little bits of tissue paper into place here, as we are trying to get something similar to our reference photo up there in the upper corner. That's a long guy. As you can tell, I didn't cut the paper very evenly, which is why I have all different lengths of little paper twists here. I was kind of doing, this looks roughly the same size measurements when I was cutting it with the paper cutter. The main goal was to get it into smaller squares. They didn't necessarily have to be the same size, but they couldn't be the large sheet that they were. Because while working in the larger squares probably would have taken less time to make the thing, I needed smaller squares to get the smaller twists for the smaller sections. I mean, I could have done a larger twist, and then just cut it down. But it was just easier in the long run to go with the smaller bits. And we're just using our tacky glue. So like I said earlier, I just find that the tacky glue just seems to be the better option. Like, I totally get that not everybody might be able to get a hold of the tacky glue. I got mine from, well, this set that I'm working with I got from Amazon, but you can like pick it up at Walmart or whatever. I've seen it there. Pretty sure I've picked it up from Walmart before. So I mean there are options. Almost done with this color. And then we'll flip it upside down. Oh, not really. We'll flip it right side up, technically. And then we can work the proper way on it. Technically, we are still upside down here. Yeah, my glue started to dry on this edge here in spots before I was ready for it to do so. That's a bit of a bummer there. That's alright though. I mean, it's pretty much in there. Let me see. Get another little guy in there. All right, that should be good for the edge because then I'm gonna paint the actual side edge. I'm not gonna roll this down over the edge because I don't really think I need to. On this guy, if it was like a gallery edge, then yeah, sure. But try to get the glue off my fingers here so make less of a mess. All right, so this color can go back into its bag. So I don't need a whole lot of the next color, but at the same time, oh good, I'm just dropping stuff everywhere now, that's fine. But at the same time, I don't know how much of this color I have prepped. A little bit. I don't know. I might have enough of this color. So this color is going to be the next one. Coming in here. I can get some of this excess glue off my hand. Got all of these glue bits all over me. Alright, so let's see here. What time is it? 11:36. Actually, we might stop there for tonight. And pick it back up next week. And then I'll be able to get some more of this color ready to go, because this color is not going to take us hardly any time at all. I might need to get a couple more of these colors sorted. I mean, maybe I should have done our sun first, but I think maybe next week we'll get this shade put in, and then we'll get the light purple, and we'll get this color put in, and then I think we'll work on our sun, right? And then when we get the sun done, then we'll start to do this color. So I'll probably need a bit more of this shade. This shade I might be good on because this is the only spot that it is, and I definitely need more of that light peachy orange color. Especially, I'm gonna need more of this color if I keep dropping it everywhere. But yeah, I think that's what we will plan on. So, yeah, thank you guys for checking things out. I really like doing these. It's just a fun little change of pace. So tomorrow we'll be back again, migraine permitting, of course. And we'll be doing Planet Zoo tomorrow. So that's always a good time. Hope to see everybody then. Don't forget to follow the social links down below. Those will take you to the Ko-fi page for those that don't want to donate through Twitch. There is a link to Blue Sky. I am over there instead of on X, Twitter. There's also a link to the YouTube channel, where the live streams get archived, along with some different art projects that we didn't stream, or some gaming playthroughs that we also didn't stream, like we've got Bear and Breakfast, Honey I Joined a Cult, Little Known Galaxy. We'll be doing Bookbound next over there, I believe. And so don't forget to subscribe over there. It's free to do so. And make sure you turn your notifications to all, because it defaults to personalized and you're not going to get the notifications. And I usually have a video a day go up, whether it's an archived live stream going up over there, or a game playthrough, or an art project. So we tend to have that happening over there. So thank you again for the sub, Sog, and I will see everybody tomorrow night. So until next time, you guys, have a good one.